to Monday Night Football. We're going to look ahead to Week 9 in the NFL. We got NHL. We got NBA. We're going to talk to Jason Sobel about his picks for Mayakoba. But first, Emerson Latzia and Jared Carrabis are here. We're talking Game 3 of the World Series. It got rained out. What's next for baseball? They'll tell you more.
Yeah, that's true. We will tell you more about tonight's game. How you doing, partner?
It's good to see you. Yeah.
Dude, really good to see you.
Yeah.
Fall colors.
Thank
you
you.
are in the spirit.
I am.
Your energy is through the roof this
Wish I
morning.
could say the same to you.
I've missed you. How was your Halloween?
I didn't do anything. How was yours?
I enjoyed trick-or-treating.
Did you?
Yes, I did. With Samir here behind the camera.
You went trick-or-treating?
Yes, we did. Went out and
Where'd you
about.
go?
We were in Beacon Hill.
Can I ask you if in the Beacon Hill area if there were any king-size candies?
We did not come across any, did we,
Okay.
Samir?
That's
no,
unfortunate.
just a fun size,
Okay.
which is perfectly fine. Game 3 World Series tonight. We thought originally we'd be talking about reacting to what went down last night, but yes, it was rained out. First Fall Classic postponed since Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, so first Fall Classic postponement. Which side do you think this benefits more, the Phillies or the Astros?
I don't know that there's a clear-cut.
Really?
Yeah, like
Seems like
advantage
to me it would
here.
be
You
the
go
Phillies.
in Lance McCullers, Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
But you go into an environment where like, we were in Philly for NLCS games 3, 4, and 5. These fans, even if it was a torrential downpour, these fans would have still been out there going nuts. Someone was chirping me on Instagram the other day, being like, "Aren't you the dude that was like hanging out by the bathroom for like Game 5?" I'm like, bro. Like,
Yeah, dude. That
it's-
sounds like you.
It's 40 degrees and raining. Like, why would I be risking the flu to go out there and watch a team that's not my team? But that they would do that. They were all out there. They didn't leave their seats. So, yeah, I think, you go into a hostile environment there in Philly. It's not going to be an easy time for the Houston Astros.
Yeah, and the Phillies, I believe, have not lost at home this postseason.
They have not.
But they also haven't played a juggernaut like the Astros.
Yeah. I mean, they went through the defending World Series champions in the Atlanta Braves. I'm not going to call the Braves a juggernaut. They won more than 100 games. They've been there. They've done that. They have the postseason experience. But I would say it's fair to call the Phillies battle-tested.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with
They
you.
knocked off the team that knocked off the 111-win Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they went through the defending World Series champs. So, I don't know. I'm not going to say that they haven't faced anyone like the Astros, but it's, they're battle tested.
I just feel like the rain delay definitely benefits the Phillies more because you're going to give Zach Wheeler like an extra day of rest, which he looked tired in Game 2, dude. And the Astros either way are going to roll out like the same rotation that they were before the rain out here.
Correct.
Too.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler's velocity was down the last time out. I know that they talked about wanting to give him a day of rest there. So that benefits them for the longer picture there. But for right now, Ranger Suarez, Lance McCullers tonight.
What has been the story of the World Series so far in your mind through 2 games here?
Oh,
a player, one of the teams. I don't know. I look at it too. Like I see Altuve's like resurgence because it started with like that double. I think it was in ALCS like Game 2.
Yeah, but he had little dinky hits like here and there. I think there's a lot of different stories here. It's Dusty Baker being back in the World Series. He's never won a World Series. You want to get Dusty Baker a ring. Bryce Harper being the face on Sports Illustrated, 16 years old, first round, first overall pick, gets the 13-year deal with the Phillies, wins an MVP with the Nats, wins an MVP with the Phillies, but it's like, where's the World Series? This is Bryce Harper getting to the Fall Classic for the first time. This is the Houston Astros after the whole cheating scandal in 2017 being like, hey, we can get a real one now. Like, everyone wants to discredit 2017, rightfully so. They were cheating. It's interesting because people will call the Dodgers chokers, right? Like the Dodgers will get there and they'll lose. They'll get there and they'll lose. What about the Astros? I mean, this will develop a choker type narrative.
I 100% agree with you.
They've been there how many years now? 17 they were
it's
there.
Like 4 out of the last
19
6, I think it is.
they were there. 20 they almost got there. They almost came back from being down 3-0 in 20. Then they were there in 21, and now they're there this year. But they only have the one, tainted title to show for it. So there's a lot of different, I guess, storylines that you could go with that are pretty interesting.
What about in Game 2, Framber Valdez? Was he cheating?
It depends on what your definition of cheating is, Emerson.
Foreign substance. Was he using a foreign substance?
I think so, yeah.
You think he was?
Yeah, I do. But
Why?
if you were
Because
to ask
his
me if he
curveball
was cheating, well, he was definitely using something. But for me, if you're using spider tack, that's cheating. If you're just using rosin mixed with sweat, I don't care. If you're using pine tar, I don't care. That's what I think he was doing.
He was being examined after like each inning too, and his mannerisms
they were looking
similar
at it
to the last time they faced him on October 5th.
Well,
And
he's lefty. He's lefty, and they were looking at his pitching hand, but he was getting the stuff from his right hand.
Okay. So I will admit to switching gloves midway through the game did appear unusual.
Yeah, but I mean, like again, I don't consider it cheating unless it's spider tack, and I don't want to get into like a whole thing about what the differences are.
Don't. I think
but
we should allow that anyway.
if you're using spider tack, you're manipulating the baseball to do different things. Like fastballs, they just stay up, they defy the laws of gravity. Like you can get all kinds of crazy movement. If you're using pine tar and rosin and sweat, like you're just trying to get a better grip on the baseball. And I don't think that the ultimate decision makers are the hitters. If you were to ask the hitters, hey, do you care if pitchers are using pine tar or rosin and sweat? They're going to tell you no. Like it's not a big deal. It's been happening forever.
Yeah.
They had an issue with spider tack because that was what was making it do all like the wizard movements. I don't think that he was using that. So I don't care. Like, do I think he was using a substance? Yes. Do I think it was an unfair advantage? No, not really.
Yeah, curveball was sharp, man, and that had to feel good for him because he sucked in his couple World Series starts last year, too.
Yeah, which was tough to see after he, beat the Red Sox.
Yep, indeed. I remember that. Who needs to step up for their team in this series starting tonight?
Yordan Alvarez. He hit that walk-off home run against the Mariners, which was a tough loss for me and Stevie B's Seattle Mariners. The walk-off home run to complete that comeback against Seattle. But since then, there haven't been any Yordan moments. And after that walk-off homer, a lot of people were making the comparisons like this guy's the next David Ortiz.
Yeah.
Look at his postseason statistics, compare them to David Ortiz. Obviously, David Ortiz had the larger sample size, but they were on pace to be very comparable. Ever since then, I'm not going to say that he's been terrible, but there hasn't been a Yordan moment. I think we're due for a Yordan moment.
What about Bryce Harper? Because it felt like before the World Series, like every pitch you threw at him was going to leave the park. Now, after a couple singles in Game 1, went over 4. Like in Game 2, he scored only 1 run this series. Doesn't have an extra base hit. I know it's a small sample size, but that's what the World Series is. And he's done so much to carry them to this moment.
Yeah.
Like now's not the time to fall off the mat.
Yeah, I think it's just one bad game for him. Like that first game, there weren't like ducks in the pond for him to be driving guys in. But Bryce Harper's a guy that if you're out there on the mound, you're not looking forward to facing a guy like Bryce Harper. I don't care if you went 0 for 4 the last game or not. Like you're looking at he's in like 4 something for the whole playoffs. OPS over 1,000. He's having one of the best postseason runs maybe ever. And I think especially coming off the NLCS MVP, you could see it's very rare to see NLCS and World Series MVP be the same guy, but he's fully capable of doing that.
Does he rise up tonight? Does he rise to the occasion tonight?
I think he does. Yeah, there are guys who kind of whimper in the environment in the moment. Bryce Harper is a product of his environment. Him being in Philly, him showing up to Houston wearing that baggy Mike Schmidt throwback Phillies jersey. Yep. He has embraced the city. The second that he signed that contract, he embraced the Philly lifestyle. They've embraced him right back. He loves the blue-collar nature of it. I think you get that guy. That's why I always said, if they split those first 2 games, and now you have to go to Philly for 3 straight, that 2-3-2 format for a best-of-7 series in MLB playoffs, it's almost advantage Phillies now. Like Houston has home field advantage in this series, but after they split and now you go to Philly for 3 more, that's advantage Philly for the rest of the way. I can't even describe what it's like. It's going to be even worse or better for the Phillies, but in terms of the decibels at that ballpark, the bank, I wish that you could experience it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I thought we were going to be going together.
Do you want to go?
Turns out we're not. I mean, sure. If my bosses and managers here or sign off on it, I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah. I'll drive. You can get the tickets.
Or we'll get work to get the tickets, and you still drive. Or we take the train. Let's bring a few bevies.
Yeah.
Okay, hot take time. Give us your hottest take right now. Cooking up here between the ears as we await first pitch for Game 3 tonight in Philadelphia. What's up, man? What's up? What?
Because
Bring it in.
there's a difference between having a hot take and saying something that might jinx the series.
What you say right now will not do diddly do. Okay? It's not going to jinx
promise?
anything. Say it, you coward.
You promise?
Yeah, I kind of do.
You think that if I say this, people can't get mad at me, okay?
People cannot get mad at Jared Carrabis for this hot take that could potentially jinx the entire World Series.
You ready?
Hit me.
Come here. Because I don't want to say this too loud because there's people over there. I don't think the series goes back to Houston. I don't want to say. Hold on. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. And I don't know how hot you want to say that is or not.
That's effing hot,
Do you
dude.
think that's hot, Stevie B? It's not that hot.
Oh, come on.
All right.
You Mariners fans ride or die together.
But I don't think it goes back to Houston. This series, one way or the other, it ends in Philly.
Phillies taking games 3, 4, and 5. Tuesday night.
You said it. I didn't say
Wednesday
that.
night. Thursday night. No, I'm literally repeating what you just said.
I didn't say that. I didn't say who wins those games. You just did. I didn't say who wins the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Astros sweeping Tuesday,
I didn't say that
Wednesday,
either.
Thursday. Well, tell us.
I didn't say
Tell
it.
us which team
No.
you think wins the next 3 games
No,
then. Come on.
Not doing that. I can't
What's
do that.
going on with
Can't
you?
do that. What's going on with you?
What's going on with you?
I'm not saying that.
People want to know, is it the Astros, the Phillies?
Find out tonight.
All right, so I hate you so much. And so does everybody else.
Whoever wins tonight wins the World Series.
Okay, there we go.
That's
Whoever
thick.
wins tonight wins the World Series. All right, Jared Carrabis.
Hey, it's been real.
Damn good having
Welcome
you here,
back.
man. Welcome back to you, dude.
I've been here.
I know you have.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to play some price check. We're going to look at some salaries here for Week 9 around the NFL on DraftKings. Samir, stop. Stop. Okay, no.
You want to be a showstopper? You want to be awesome? Then you'll want to have a game plan. Whether you're a champion or a bettor, you got to be responsible. Have a realistic budget and bet within your means. Set a time limit, then stick to it. And use the DraftKings Sportsbook and Casino apps. They offer all these tools and more so you can practice safe bets. Can I get a mic to drop?
It's the biggest postseason ever. So DraftKings Sportsbook wants you to win big too. New customers bet just $5 to win $200 in free bets if your team wins. More teams, more games, and a November World Series? Huge. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code, and bet $5 to win $200 if your team wins. Action's so good, why bet MLB anywhere else?
Hold up. DraftKings, you're telling me that you're boosting same-game parlays? Well, that's big time. Actually, big is big enough. We're going to need a new word. Jumbo-munganous. No, monstremendous. Gargantuloso. Ah, see? The pink duck gets it.
DraftKings stepped up same-game parlays. Boost your winnings up to 100% for our biggest payouts ever. Action's so good, why bet NFL anywhere else?
What'd you say, Carl?
In 2019, DraftKings and the Larry Fitzgerald Foundation launched the Pinkham program, which has raised over $300,000 to support breast cancer research. Thank you to everyone who has participated in this cause that is dear to my heart, and to DraftKings for pledging to raise another $100,000 this football season for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. Visit DraftKings.com/surge to enter weekly Pinkham pools all October.
All right, the Browns snapped a 4-game losing streak last night when they upset the Bengals. Wow, who saw that one coming? 32-13. Sheesh. All right, we got Steve Buchanan, we got Jeff Ulrich, we got Pierce Dietrich. Everyone is here to talk about it. Steve, what was your biggest takeaway from last night? The Browns' defense is legit.
Maybe it's more of the Bengals' offensive line is not legit. I mean, when was Joe Burrow? Calm down over there. When was Joe Burrow ever able to get off a clean pass? It felt like he was just constantly under pressure, and that was really kind of undermined in any game plan that the Bengals had coming into this game. So I think that offensive line needs some serious issues, which seems to be the common theme around the NFL, at least this season thus far.
Absolutely. Jeff, what do you think? What was your biggest takeaway? Obviously, really missing Jamar Chase here.
Yeah, it really wasn't about Jamar Chase, to be honest. It was about Myles Garrett being on the field for Cleveland and just absolutely dominating this game. 2 sacks, 8 pressures. Look, Myles Garrett is essentially the AFC version of Aaron Donald. And like when he is on the field, he can take over games in much the same way that Aaron Donald helped lead the Rams to the Super Bowl. Now, I don't think the Browns are probably going to make the Super Bowl, but they do have a very good offensive player in Nick Chubb. And, you know, they do have Deshaun Watson coming back later in the year. This team needs to just stick around. They haven't done a very good job of it late, but you know, they showed that when Garrett is on, they can dominate a weaker offensive line. And for the Bengals, obviously, you know, Jamar Chase would have helped, but I really don't think it would have mattered in this game. I mean, this was all about the Cleveland defensive line dominating the Bengals offensive line. And unless Jamar Chase was going to play O-line last night, it wouldn't have mattered. And even then, it wouldn't have helped.
Pierce, that Bengals defense hadn't allowed a second-half touchdown entering the night, and the Browns scored touchdowns on each of their first 3 drives following halftime.
Yeah, so let's give some credit to the Browns' offensive line. Brissett had 3.2 seconds on average to pass the ball. You give even a backup quarterback that much time, and they're going to move the ball. And on the other side, I get that the Browns' defensive line played pretty well, and they have some solid all-stars there, but it's more about the Bengals' offensive line just reverting to their old form of being terrible despite all of the free agency acquisitions and all of the stories about how this team was going to be better on that front line. It's not working out. You could see at the very beginning of that game, it was just check down, check down. They were not forcing any targets downfield, and some of that had to do with Chase, but it also had to do with Burrow just not having time to pass. And it doesn't matter who the Bengals play, even an average defensive line is going to get pressure on him. They've got serious problems. I mean, they couldn't run the ball. It's all about the lines. Browns may be on the upswing if their line's going to play like it did last night, and the Bengals, they might as well just call the season off if their line's not going to blow.
Yeah, man, they're not terrible, but they're not very good either. There are a lot of teams in that NFL bin.
Adequate.
Yeah, sure.
Would be a good word.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's too big of a word for me.
Expand your vocabulary.
Okay. No, it's too late for that. Let's jump into Price Check Week 9 here, guys. I believe there's 6 teams on bye this week, so we're losing out on some talent to choose from. Jeff, which quarterback is in a matchup you like?
I mean, there's a lot of cheap quarterbacks to choose from this week, if we're being dead honest. I mean, I think there's Aaron Rodgers obviously going up against Detroit under 6K. I'm going to stand here for Marcus Mariota though, who is just putting together just a really nice season. And the thing with Mariota is you get an elite rusher, a player who designed rush plays, scrambles, like it's kind of all there. He's had some bigger rush weeks, and it's just been overshadowed by the fact that Atlanta just doesn't throw that much. Now, like that's fine, but they're taking on a Chargers defense here who banged up, likes to get in shootouts, and they're going to be on the road in Atlanta. I think the Falcons have all kinds of momentum going right now, and they have elite weapons, as we've seen. Mariota has the benefit of guys like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, even in the backfield, the guy like Tyler Algier getting him some cheap yards. I think it's a good spot to deploy Mariota and some Falcons players this week. Again, like the Chargers, just not a team you should be scared of right now.
Okay, Pierce, talk to me here. Quarterback you like this week?
Yeah, there are plenty of adequate quarterbacks on the slate. Not a lot of great plays this week, but plenty of adequate guys to go after. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy. It's the Detroit Lions. They are absolutely terrible. 32nd in pass DVOA. They've allowed they rank 25th in fantasy points to quarterbacks, 24th in points to wide receivers and to tight ends. The opportunity is there. The matchup is great. He is very affordable. He is motivated. This is a must-win for Green Bay. Green Bay, although they should be running the ball more, they just tend to pass. I don't know if you could really pair him with any of his receivers, but you can play him at 5,900. I think he's going to get some pretty low ownership as well. It's a really good buy low spot for Aaron Rodgers.
Hear me out, Steve. Well, what's up? What's up? You seem upset with what he's saying.
Pierce said Aaron Rodgers is motivated. Motivated to what? Leave the NFL? That's what he's motivated for. Are you watching this guy on the field? He doesn't want to be there. Pierce, he's motivated. What are you watching, you dope? He ain't motivated for anything.
Trade deadline, 4 o'clock Eastern time today. Maybe they get a wide receiver.
Why is he screaming and yelling at people? If he didn't care,
he's
why
angry.
He's angry.
He's angry that Jordan Love can't catch the ball.
He would be indifferent.
Indifferent. Don't throw those words at me. I'll give you a plethora of words.
You just yelled at me for not having big words in my vocabulary.
Plethora.
Hey, do you have?
What about
a good SAT word? Which quarterback do you like?
Thank you. Justin Herbert. I like Justin Herbert at 7,200 against the Falcons, who Jeff was just hyping up. He's trying to hype up Marcus Mariota because he had a couple good games. Now we think Mariota's like an elite quarterback. But we have an elite quarterback in Justin Herbert. So I know he lost Mike Williams, but that's fine. Keenan Allen is back. Wasn't a big factor last week, and even with not being a big factor, he just had under 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 20 DraftKings fantasy points when he played last week. The Falcons are one of the most generous teams in the league to opposing quarterbacks, allowing an average of 23.3 DraftKings fantasy points, 318 passing yards per game, even without his elite weapon in Mike Williams. This is a great spot for Justin Herbert at 7,200.
All right, let's go to running backs. Pierce, who do you like here? I know you.
Who's motivated?
Well, the Packers are facing the Lions, so maybe you want to take one of those Packers there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with what Steve was just talking about. The Chargers game is going to be where everyone is going, and I think Austin Eckler is going to be motivated coming off the bye, coming off a bad loss a couple weeks ago. Great matchup against a terrible run defense in Atlanta. You've got one of the highest over-unders. Last week, Atlanta made Donta Foreman look like Derrick Henry. So Eckler will probably have no problem on the ground whatsoever. He's caught 10 or more receptions in his last 2 games. I think this is just a spot where you're going to play as many Chargers as you possibly can, and then maybe try to run it back with some Falcons if you like one. We'll talk about one here in a little bit.
We will. Steve, who do you like as a running back? Travis Etienne here. He is facing Vegas, and they're giving up 366.7 yards per game. They let Alvin Kamara get 3 touchdowns.
No, it was a great spot, but I like Raheem Mostert at 6,100 going up against the Bears. If you look at his game log from last week, it really kind of killed it because the Dolphins were down 14-0 quickly to the Lions here, so Mostert really didn't have time to get going until they ended up taking that lead. But otherwise, he was averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, turned out 64 yards on 14 carries. Lack of targets was a little bit concerning when you figure too that the Dolphins were down early here, but the Dolphins should have no issue with handling Chicago in this game here. The Bears have been absolutely putrid to the running back position. So at only 6,100, this feels like a really good price here for Mostert against with a Dolphins team that should really be able to go against the Bears easily this week.
Jeff, you said you like the position ATL is in. Are you going to go with one of those guys for your running back?
You could. Tyler Algiro's interesting this week against the Chargers. There's a lot of running backs that are in very good spots under 6,500 though, and I cannot believe that we're 3 people in here and no one's brought up Travis Etienne. What is going on? This dude got 26 touches last week. The Jaguars 27. I can't even count. The Jaguars are fully committed to Etienne as their feature back. This dude's averaging 8 yards per carry over his last 4 games. Taking on the Raiders, who just let Alvin Kamara score, 1 billion touchdowns? No, I think it's a great spot for Etienne at home. He's again, the Jaguars have committed. James Robinson's gone. They traded away the guy with the busted Achilles. This is it. It's Trevor Lawrence. It's Travis Etienne. Get ready, because this story is not going to stop. He's going to be putting together massive fantasy games, and quite frankly, just at under 6,500, I do not see how you don't get to him for DFS lineups here. He's too good a value. I don't care if he is projecting as a little bit of chalk. You just got to keep playing him until the price gets, really realistically well above 7K.
You mentioned Etienne. I want you to know that I'm going to give you credit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which wide receiver, Steven, is going to be worth their price this week?
Yeah, Terry McLaurin at 5,900 going up against the Vikings. McLaurin has quickly become the favorite target for Taylor Heineke, in the 2 weeks that he started now. He has 11 catches on 16 targets for 186 yards and a touchdown over that 2-game span. Got to see some really soft coverage going up against the Vikings this week. He's playing all over the field, so that's going to put him in the best match possible. For him to only be 5,900, though, feels like it could be an absolute steal against a very soft defense with the Vikings. So I think this is a great spot for McLaurin to continue to get those targets and rack up those fantasy points.
Yeah, Vikings allow the 4th most receiving yards to wide receivers this season. Jeff, where are you going in the wide receiver department, dude?
You know what the biggest shock of this segment is, Emerson?
What's that, babe?
We are now at the wide receiver position, our 3rd position, and Pierce Dietrich has not mentioned one Seattle Seahawk.
Wow.
Oh.
I have left the Seahawks on the board just for Pierce to take. I left Geno Smith there for him to take. Kenneth Walker. Take him. No, he doesn't want it. He doesn't like the Seahawks. Fine, I'll stand for the Seahawks now. Seahawks are my team. We're going to go Tyler Lockett here at 6,100. This guy absolutely dropped a touchdown last week, but then he made up for it and caught another touchdown. If he had caught that one that he dropped, he would have had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everyone would have been talking about him this week. Arizona stinks. Geno Smith is an MVP candidate. He's a man amongst men. Tyler Lockett's going to have a big game here. Seattle's going to absolutely put one on over Arizona, assert their dominance over the NFC West. Tyler Lockett at under 6,500. He's still the best wide receiver. I know DK Metcalf's a freak, but Lockett's their best receiver. He's going to show up in this game. He's going to put a big one in. I really like the Geno Smith-Tyler Lockett combo for this week.
All right, Pierce, go ahead. You can take DK Metcalf now.
No, I want to stack the Chargers. We're expecting a lot of points in the Chargers-Falcons game, so I've got to run it back with someone from the Falcons, and you really can't trust anyone from the Falcons, so you might as well spend as little as you can and go with Demir Bird at 3,500. Hit a big play 2 weeks ago, increased his snap share to 50%, hit another big play last week. It's really an all-or-nothing play, but if we're expecting them to be playing from behind, we're expecting a lot of points in this game. All you need is just that one big play, and we've seen Bird and Mariota connect 2 weeks in a row. 3,500, he definitely helps you get Eckler into your lineups and the other expensive Chargers.
Yeah, that's all the time we have for a price check, gentlemen. So apologies to all the tight ends. Everyone was going to go with Evan Ingram anyway.
Obviously.
I actually was.
Were you really? Dude, hey,
yeah,
we're going to start it. We're starting in our
say
season-long league
Evan
this week.
Ingram on there.
Hey, we're here, brother.
All right, coming up next, we got some dudes in the studio, including Nick Fryer.
What is this?
The founding member of the Hellfryer Club. Oh my God,
Dude.
Emerson, I know you don't know what that is. But
Yes,
it has
I
to
do.
do with Stranger Things. All right, we're going to look at tonight's 4-game slate. Jeff Pratt is going to join him. But first, let's hear from DraftKings content manager Sharad Kira with the latest on Rainmakers football on DraftKings.
Halloween's over.
Sup, Chirag here with DraftKings to bring you a Week 8 recap for some of the winning lineups that took place. Fiat Frenzy, 100K to first place, was taken down by this user using Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Alvin Kamara. They won by almost 2 points, so really nice lineup here. But moving on to the Deadfellas contest, 20K to first, and Deadfellas NFTs to the top 10. Also, Jalen Hurts in this lineup, but Christian McCaffrey, amazing performance of 40 fantasy points. A.J. Brown also in here. DeAndre Hopkins and Alvin Kamara, as we saw in the previous lineup. This user was able to take home 20K plus a Deadfellas NFT. But last but not least, going to the Aoki contest for this week, Kyler Murray, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Alvin Kamara. As you can see, Alvin Kamara took in all these lineups. A.J. Brown did his job as well, but I think it's really awesome that the winner here got $1,500 cash to first place for just being in the Aoki League All-Star Contest. Make sure to join these contests and stay tuned to the DraftKings NFC Games lobby for more. I have the DK Nation page here if you want to read the full breakdown, but going into the details here, we've had some players that had their status revoked. Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, CeeDee Lamb, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, and Aaron Rodgers will no longer be a superstar in Rainmakers football. But there have been some additions. So the players that have their status upgraded. Tyreek Hill, amazing season. He's been added to the list. Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts are the players that will now be a superstar in Rainmakers football. But don't forget, the guys that kept their superstar status, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Remember, you can only use one superstar in a lineup for these contests, so make sure to go out and grab the new players.
I just have one request.
Okay.
There we go.
What is it?
Nope. I was talking about something else.
All right, say hello to our NBA panel. They are here. They are in the flesh. DraftKings contributors Nick Pratt. Just kidding, Nick Fryer. And Jeff Pratt. I'm just really focused on this Hellfire Club thing.
I understand.
So your costume looks amazing.
Thank you very
Day
much.
after
I appreciate
Halloween.
It. It's not as good as what I did last year. For those who don't remember, I dressed up as, of course, the illustrious Steve Buchanan last year. But I feel like this was an admirable way to follow that up.
Yeah.
Like a hair in my mouth.
I feel like this is
Love
just kind
your
of like your
costume
life
too,
outside
Jeff.
of work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Emerson 30 years ago.
Oh, nice!
Oh, hell yeah, brother. My brother in Christ.
Do you get it because you're really old? All right.
Actually, no. But even Glennon, producer Glennon here is like, yeah, you're not nearly heavy enough. Have you seen College Emerson?
I was going to say.
College Emerson would gobble you up, young man.
Okay. 4-game slate here in the NBA, guys. So let's do a little pick and roll. First up, DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls taking on the Nets in Brooklyn. Hellfire Club, buddy. Are you picking the Bulls here, or are you rolling to the Nets side? What do you think?
I have to go with the Bulls in this one, especially when we know that we're going to get Zach LaVine in this spot as well. And the Nets are playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, too. They were terrible in those spots last year. I mean, just in general right now, anybody who backed the Nets before the season must be feeling really stupid right now. I might have been one of those people. But they look absolutely terrible out the gates. Put them in a spot where they don't have any rest, and now you have Zach LaVine in the mix. I love the Bulls tonight.
All right, Jeff, what do we think? You agree?
Yeah, I was taking the Bulls regardless of if Zach LaVine was suiting up tonight. The Nets are just extremely dysfunctional right now. They have the second worst defensive rating in the NBA. And if you actually sit down and watch a Brooklyn Nets game, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend right now because they're struggling so much, it passes the eye test. They look horrible. On offense, they're almost as dysfunctional. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are putting up great individual efforts, but they're getting no help from anyone else, including Ben Simmons, who is doing nothing to start his season with the Nets. So I got to go with the Bulls in this one.
Bulls are depleted, though, too, here, guys. Come on now.
You're going to defend the Nets right now?
No, I'm not defending the Nets at all.
On the second leg of a back-to-back, no less? It sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
No, I'm literally just playing devil's advocate. I'm not going to sit here and agree with everything you say.
Are you really getting into the whole...
That's not great television.
You're getting into the whole
How about this? How about this? Quiet over there, dude. All right, so Jimmy Butler says, we're still going to win the championship, and I don't care what nobody says. Count us out. We're going to win the effing championship. I'm telling you, I don't give a damn that we started 2-5. So the Warriors are going to be in South Beach tonight to face the Heat. Pick a side right now. Are you rolling with the Heat, or are you going to stick with the defending champs?
Am I allowed to talk now? Because you told me to stop talking.
Absolutely. I have to get the question out.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. No, I'm going with the Warriors in this one. And I just want to know, did Jimmy Butler actually just say effing? Because that's
I'm not kidding you. This is the actual quote. He gave it to The Athletic. The story was printed this morning, and because I'm on top of my stuff, I was able to include it in the show.
Okay, well, I am very proud of you for doing that. But still, regardless, I'm going to go with the Warriors in this spot because when you look at the way the Heat are playing, their defense has been struggling. They don't play with great pace. And I know that the Warriors have hit a little bit of a rough spot too, but when you look at their offensive firepower, I don't think that the Heat are going to be able to slow them down. We've already seen that in the course of the season. So for me, it's an easy one going with the Warriors in this spot.
I mean, these are two teams that have gotten off to some disappointing starts to this season here, Jeff. So Golden State's dropped back-to-back games to begin their 5-game road trip. And then, I mean, you got the Heat 2-5 this season, 1-3 at home.
Yeah, I would tell Jimmy Butler, you have to make the playoffs if you're going to win an NBA championship first. And right now, they're looking at just barely making the play-in game. I am also going with the Warriors in this matchup. These two teams faced off 5 days ago. Golden State won pretty handily. I believe it was by 13 points. And I'm pretty concerned about this Miami Heat team. Since that matchup, the Heat gave the Sacramento Kings their only win of the season. The Warriors haven't been much better. They did drop 2 games to bad teams, the Hornets and the Pistons. But Golden State just has too much for Miami to handle this year. Their defense isn't what it was the past couple of seasons. And offensively, they don't have enough firepower to keep up with Golden State. So I'm going to go with the Warriors.
All right, guys, Orlando and OKC up next. Magic have one of the most exciting rookies in the league, right? Paolo Banchero, but have just 1 win to show for it. I mean, he has been a bright spot for them. Do they get number 2 against the Thunder? Thunder are 3-point favorites. What do we think, Hellfire?
No, I mean, look, it's great. They got a nice new player and everything, shiny new toy, but they have no idea how to utilize it properly. And as long as SGA is in the lineup for the Thunder, I like them against the spread. Of course, they're the favorites in this spot tonight, -3. Obviously, there's a little bit more value in taking them in that spot. They're, 5-1 to start the year. I know they weren't favorites too often last season. It's probably going to be the case again this season, but they were 2-1 in those situations last year. So everything, I like them straight up in this spot, and absolutely, they're one of the best teams against the spread, so I'm backing them -3.
Pratt, Thunder 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games overall.
I want to pick the Magic in this one so bad because they're so much fun to watch this year. I love Paolo. He's putting up historically great rookie numbers. Bull is getting more run in Orlando this year, finally, after years of just sitting on the bench. He's been exciting. Wendell Carter Jr. looks like he could be one of the premier centers in the league, but I just can't pick against the Thunder, especially considering how hot they are right now. Back-to-back wins over the Clippers. They just beat the Mavericks in overtime. This is a team that is rounding into form, and the Magic just don't have enough. They don't know what they're doing yet. As Nick says, they don't know how to utilize Paolo correctly. So they're going to drop this one, too.
Yeah, OKC's actually moved to a 3.5-point favorite, so moving up a bit, just a bit.
Okay, so a lot of people watching this show and this segment right now. Suns are 3.5-point favorites tonight, gentlemen. They're going to be hosting the Timberwolves. Suns 4-game win streak right now, Fryer. I think they're second in the West, 5-1. I mean, Timberwolves off to a decent start as well. They won 3 of their last 5 games. They entered this matchup 4-3 record. Who are you rolling with?
Yeah, I don't know why, but I always feel like I'm going against the Suns all the time. I mean, even we look at last year.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they're 5-1 right now.
I know. I don't. I mean, I'm not backing their opponents every single day, but I feel like every time I'm asked about them on the show, for some reason, I'm going against them. And in this spot, again, I'm going against them.
Good for you,
buddy. No, thank you very much. I appreciate
it.
No DeAndre Ayton tonight, and then you look at the size, the size that the Timberwolves bring to this game, and you could go and think, oh well, now the Suns are going to roll out a small lineup, try and increase the tempo. The Timberwolves are one of the top teams in terms of tempo this season. So for me, I like them getting the points in this spot with that size advantage.
Okay, what do you want, Pratt?
This is the first time that Nick and I are going to disagree, actually.
Good.
I'm going to take the Suns in this game. What? I know, so surprising. There are so many reasons that the Suns could have had a bad start to the season this year, so I'm going to give them credit. Robert Sarver was obviously in the news a lot this offseason. For all we know, DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams still hate each other. They didn't speak after the playoffs until the start of the season. Now Ayton is out tonight, but Jock Landale has been more than serviceable as a backup center. And I look at Minnesota, it took Quinn Snyder years to figure out how to create the right offensive system around Rudy Gobert. The Timberwolves are still figuring it out. They're going to be a really good team down the stretch this season, but Phoenix is playing really good basketball right now, so I have to go with the Suns.
All right, fellas, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love having you in studio.
Good stuff, man.
Thanks.
It's November 1st.
Nick Fryer's just going to wear that outfit.
This is how I dress all the time.
He's going to wear it every day. All right, let's move on. Thank you, guys. Emerson, focus. We are going to move on to NHL now. All right.
Yeah.
So we got a 12-game slate.
A little bigger
than
the NBA's 4-game slate.
Pretty big. We got RotoWire's Paul Bruno, AJ Scholes, and NHL.com's Anna Dua here with us. Guys, like I said, 12-game slate, really big slate. Let's just make it easy and break it down by position here.
I love that idea.
Let's start at center. Who is making it into your lineups tonight? Paul, start us off.
You know, ordinarily on a big slate like this, I'd consider Connor McDavid the chalkiest of all picks, and you don't want to miss out on him. But looking at that matchup against the Preds, I'm a little wary. They're a bit off their defensive standards so far, but I have to think they'll be more focused tonight given the opposition, so I'm fading the Oilers captain. Instead, I look at a guy like Alex Barkov, who has a better matchup, I think, against an Arizona club that's getting up almost 4.5 goals per game. That, plus the fact that he's priced $2,500 less than the Oilers captain, makes this an easy pivot at center for me. See what I did there? Pivot at center. I feel like Ross Geller here all of a sudden. At the center position, I will continue to shy away from the high end of the board by including Jack Hughes for $6,400 because I like the way he and the Devils have looked strong out of the gate, and I'm not sure 2 wins in a row convinces me that Canucks have their house in order. They're also missing Quinn Hughes and Brock Besser, so and Thatcher Demko not at the top of his game with a .405 goals against average. So those 2 center spots look pretty good for me tonight.
AJ, Sidney Crosby, you can get him for $7,600.
It's the Bruins.
It's really tempting, and I would like nothing more than to watch the Penguins trounce Emerson's Bruins. But I'm going to shy away from that. And unfortunately, as you guys know, I hate to agree with Paul, but Alexander Barkov, I think, is a strong play tonight at 6,700. Look, the Arizona Coyotes are allowing 4.38 goals per game right now. That's second highest in the league. So I think you got to consider stacking the Panthers tonight. I do think the drafted percentage is probably going to be pretty high on Barkov when you consider he's coming off a 3-point performance, but he's been shooting the puck at 5.2 shots per game over the last 4 contests. If you want a different option, maybe Nazem Kadri. I think the Flames have a good matchup with Seattle there, but ultimately I have to agree with Paul. I think you got to look at Barkov in this one.
All right, Anna, what do we think?
I agree that Barkov's a great option, but I'm going to start us off with a little bit of value here at the center position. I'm taking a look at Dylan Strome. He's at 3,500 playing against the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. He had a goal last night against the Carolina Hurricanes, and even though the Capitals came out of that game with a shootout loss, I thought they looked like a very solid team. Strome's getting the opportunity to play with Alex Ovechkin, not only in the regular lineup, but on their top power play unit. And I mean, anyone playing with Ovi for 3,500, that's a great steal. And also, I'm going to the game tonight, guys. And the last time I went to a Capitals Vegas game, watch party technically, back in the day, the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup. So maybe I'll bring them some luck.
Look at that. We love a little Narrative Street.
We certainly do. AJ, you going to take us down Narrative Street in the wings and things department?
I'm not. I'm going to leave that up to Anna here. But I think for wings, like the easiest answer is probably Matthew Tkachuk, right? But from a cost-saving standpoint, I think I prefer to go with Carter Verhaeghe here at just 4K. He's on that first line with Tkachuk and Barkov, so it's a really good assignment. 5 points in his last 3 games. If you want to go somewhere outside of the Panthers here, I don't hate the idea of looking at Chris Kreider tonight at 6,100. Definitely a bit more of a GPP play when you consider it's not the best matchup against the resurgent Flyers, but he is 3rd in the league in shots over the last week with 20 shots in his last 4 games. That high volume just can't be ignored.
All right, Anna, who do you like on the wing?
I'm going to keep raining on Paul's parade this whole season, and I'm taking a look at the Vancouver Canucks and Andrei Kuzmenko on the wing. He's at 4,100. Consecutive multi-point games for him. He's a bright spot for the Canucks this early start to the season. And they're playing against a New Jersey Devils team who I'm also impressed by, but at the same time, in every loss the Devils have had this season, they've allowed a lot of goals, 5 or more goals. So I'm taking a look at the Vancouver Canucks to get something rolling here.
Paul, how much money are you spending on the wing?
Emerson, first of all, I am very dismayed by Anna's heel turn. I'm a big wrestling fan, and I know what she's done. She set me up for this a year ago, so we're going to be mortal enemies for a while on this program, I fear. I'm shying away from your guy, Pasternak, tonight, though, mainly because I expect the Pens to give Boston a tough game this evening, despite the fact AJ's favorites come in on a 4-game loser right now. Sometimes fear of being embarrassed is a strong motivator. The Pens' experience tells me they'll be ready for this one. Instead, I like the idea of going up to the top of the board for a guy like Kirill Kaprizov for $8,200, and he knows that he's playing Montreal tonight. That means he'll have many favorable zone starts against a lesser of Habs defensively able players. Philip Forsberg, another high-end guy, priced at $6,800, while facing the run-and-gun Oilers makes sense to me. It's the first game back from a nice 3-game roadie for the Oil Kings, and they could be caught off guard if the Preds pay attention to their defensive side of the puck. And another pick that I like is Matthew Tkachuk for $8,000. With that great matchup against the Coyotes on this large slate, it looks like a biggest mismatch on the board for me, and that's fundamental to my DFS strategy this evening.
All right, moving back to the blue line, who can bring you some success to your decor here, Anna?
Other than Rasmus Dahlin, the one defenseman that's impressed me the most this season is Erik Karlsson for the San Jose Sharks. I thought with Brent Burns leaving to the Carolina Hurricanes, it would be Karlsson's team, and he's showcased how talented he is. He's right now tied with Dahlin for the most goals among all defensemen, 6, top 10 in the entire NHL with all skaters in that category as well. And he has 11 points in 11 games. He's just been rocking and rolling. They're playing the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks have had a very slow start to the season, to say the least. I think Erik Karlsson keeps it going tonight.
All right, who do you think is going to keep it going, AJ?
Well, look, you got to find plays in tournament competitions that are going to set you apart. And one of those could be Caleb Jones of the Chicago Blackhawks at 2,800. We've got him penciled in over on RotoWire as the #1 power play quarterback for the Blackhawks tonight. This is a really good chance for him to showcase himself with his brother sidelined. So at 2,800, Caleb Jones, an absolute steal. If you want to pay up more, you're just not confident in that value play there. I think Dougie Hamilton for the Devils at 6,600 is another really good spot. The Canucks have the worst PK in the league right now. Their blue line is in shambles due to injuries, so you take advantage of using the Devils tonight, and Dougie Hamilton will be the guy who runs that Devils power play.
All right, Paul, we need some success on the D-line. Who are you looking to?
Well, on a big slate, I tend to go down the board on defense, sacrificing the top-end guys, but I find two other guys in pretty good spots. Another mismatch on the board, like I said, Calgary and Seattle is on the docket, and that's where I pick up Mackenzie Weegar for $4,500. He's poised to play over 20 minutes, which should include many advantageous situations against that subpar Kraken squad. And the last time I was on with NHL.com's Pete Jensen, he pointed out that Kalen Addison was getting a look on the Wild power play. Well, that's still the case, and he's getting over 4 minutes in that assignment per game, already picking up 7 points in 9 games. A home date versus Montreal should be a platform to pad those stats while costing only $4,000.
All right, let's keep going down the board here, Paul. Give us another value play tonight on such a large slate.
There's a whole mitt full of them here, and I've landed on 3 of them. The $3,800 price tag on Andrew Mangiapane against Seattle is too good to be true. He's getting top-line minutes, a new assignment for him alongside Kadri and Huberdeau, as well as some PP time as well. That's a new assignment, and it'll come with added higher leverage minutes for him. I think he's ready to score big in this one. Chandler Stevenson, another guy poised to be sneaky good value for a Vegas club that's blasted out of the gate with an A&2 mark. He's long been a solid contributor here and is doing it again with 4 points in 7 games while playing over 17 minutes each contest in a top 6 role, including 2 minutes on the power play. All that at home against a wounded Capitals club looks like a good play for me for $3,700. And finally, the Rangers have owned the Flyers in the last few seasons with a number of lopsided wins on their head-to-head matchups. I like them over the visiting Philly club. That may be a little bit improved, but I think they get a little nervous when they see the Broadway Blues coming in as the opposition. I dip the toe into that matchup, and I see Capo Caco getting first-line minutes alongside Kreider and Zibanejad, costing only $3,600.
AJ, I say value play. You say?
I say Freddie Gaudreau for the Minnesota Wild. He's coming in super cheap here at $3,300. He's going to play the first-line assignment with Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello for the Wild tonight. Might get a look on the number 2 power play as well, with both Ryan Hartman and Marcus Foligno out of the lineup for them tonight. So a good matchup with Montreal, super cheap price for a first-line center.
Anna, hooks up.
I agree with AJ here. Freddie Gaudreau was my number 1 pick for a value play tonight. I mean, how can you argue against that? If Kirill Kaprizov's at the top of the board, you get secondary scoring from him. With Gaudreau, we remember what Gaudreau did with Kevin Fiala towards down the stretch at the end of last season. He could get it rolling this year, especially with that great position he has in the lineup. If not him, I'm actually not fading the Kraken this season. I like Matty Beniers. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's a really, really talented rookie that stands out to me. And the Seattle Kraken are among the league leaders in goals scored this season. So even when they lose games, they really rack up those points. So Matty Beniers at $4,400 is another option.
Excellent work, you three. Appreciate the time. As always, thank you for helping us make sense of the hockey slate for tonight. Coming up next, the Action Network's Jason Sobel is going to join us to talk about the Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba. Victor Hovland has won this event the last 2 years, but he is not the favorite this year. We're going to tell you who is next.
All right, let's go. Let's dive into it. Jason Sobel, you are here to discuss some of the top DK Sportsbook plays for the Worldwide Technology Championship in Mayakoba. It is good to have you here, dude. So, Hovland, this is Hovland's event. He's aiming for a three-peat. He's in the conversation with Tiger Woods as guys in the history of this game to do so. But Scottie Scheffler also had a solid result here last year, I believe finishing fourth. Which of the two favorites would you roll with, if any of them?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing well. Look, thanks for having me on. You mentioned Victor Hovland here, 2 in a row. My buddy, the stats guru from the 21st group, Justin Ray, tweeted out earlier that only 8 times in the last 40 years has a player three-peated on the PGA Tour. 6 of those players are Tiger Woods. And then there's also Stuart Appleby. And the last one to do it, Steve Stricker, back in 2009 through 11 at the John Deere Classic. Look, Victor Hovland has obviously showed that he can play well around El Camaleon at Mayakoba, but he's a little bit of a fade for me this week. Just law of averages, you're going to win it every single time. What we've seen in recent history is if you're not Tiger, it's really, really hard to do that. Scottie Scheffler, bulky putter. I'm really just kind of skipping over the top of the board this week.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, there are like some big names in this one, but it's not like full of star power. So are there any guys near the top? You said you're kind of like fading the top, but any guys near the top of the odds board this week who aren't usually there, but maybe still have your attention?
So we're going to hold off on one name because we've done this a couple times before, and I have a feeling you're going to ask me for my favorite outright play at the end of the segment.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I'm
God,
gonna hold
yeah.
off on one name that's in this category. Yeah, did I get that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you. I do like Tony Finau. The only kind of check mark against him is the fact that he has not played an individual competitive event since the Tour Championship, making his first start of the new season. Yes, he played the President's Cup. I expect him to still have some form, but I think he's going to contend. It's kind of tough picking Tony Finau for a win on any given week, especially when he's taken so much time off. Then I dip down just a little bit, maybe let's call it bottom of the top tier, top of the mid tier, and I look at both Emiliano Grillo and Tom Hoge. Grillo has a nice course history here, 4 top 15s in 6 career starts. He's also had 2 top 5 finishes in his last 4 starts this season. I think he's trending in the right direction. Then Tom Hoge, he's been fantastic so far this season. Struggled a little bit during the summer months, but he has 4 finishes inside the top 13 in his last 4 starts. Oh, by the way, he was in a share of 3rd here just 2 years ago, so there's some course history as well. Those 2 guys I like a lot this week.
All guys riding some great form this fall. Jason, what about someone you're straight out avoiding this week? Is there someone near the top of the board you would maybe recommend people to proceed with caution if betting?
All right, I'm going to go to my pod partner, Ben Everill, who hosts a podcast with me, Links and Locks at the Action Network.
Love it.
Every single week. Ben's an Australian. And Ben, it's not a fake accent. It's a real accent. He's really Australian, tied in with the Aussie players. I'm just going to go out and say it, guys. He's biased. He's biased. He picks the Australian players all the time. Yesterday, when we recorded our podcast, he said, you know what? I think I'd fade a guy. I don't want to say his name. I don't want him to get mad at me, but a former world #1 Australian player. He's been playing pretty well, but I don't like him here. I'm just going to go out and say, it's Jason Day. If he doesn't like Jason Day, none of us should like Jason Day. He's a fade for me.
Okay. His back will likely break, too, on, like, round 3.
Yeah. Who are some the long shots maybe worth looking at here, Jason?
So, Jesse, in the first 6 events that we've seen here in the new season, usually this is long shot season. This is a time to take some chances on some bigger numbers. We've only seen one player of the 6 who was longer odds than 30-1 pre-tournament win. That was Mackenzie Hughes at 100-1 prior to the Sanderson Farm. So, look, last week I came on the segment. I said, let's throw some darts out there. Let's try it. And, of course, Seamus Power, the highest-ranked player in the field in Bermuda, was the eventual champion. So maybe that's not the best strategy. That said, couple of semi-long shots. Nick Hardy played really well, shot a 566 in the final round in Bermuda. They didn't have strokes gained stats there, but did come in 12th place in greens and regulation stat for the entire week. So Nick Hardy is a guy that I like. And then when you mention Matt Kuchar and you mention Mayakoba, everyone's mind goes back to the same thing. Okay, he didn't pay out his caddy what he probably should have 4 years ago when he won here. If he gets near the top of the leaderboard this week, everyone's going to bring it up again. Everyone's going to get their chuckles on the Twitter machine. But I'm telling you, Matt Kuchar is playing some decent golf at 44. He's one of the shorter hitters out there, but there are a few events where he can still contend. This is one of them. I'm just saying, just enough of the jokes. He made amends. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. That was still a terrible look. This also tends to be a course, though, where like vets can find their winning ways. You mentioned Kuchar. I mean, Pat Perez. Those are two dudes, right, who have ended droughts here.
Graham McDowell.
Yeah, there's another one. So, Jason, it's almost like you do this segment with us every Tuesday. You called it, dude. Let's wrap up your pick to win now for the Worldwide Technology Championship. Favorite outright bet. Who's it going to be?
I was actually hoping, Emerson, after I said that you wouldn't even ask me for a pick, that you just skip right over it and make me look bad for trying to predict it. But yes, we do it every single week. I'm going to go with it at 20-1. He may have dropped a little bit. He might be a little shorter now in the DK Sportsbook, but Colin Morikawa is very appealing to me. We know that he's one of the world's great ball strikers. He came in third in strokes gained on approach shots last season. This season, 2 starts outside the top 25 yet. That ball striking is still there. I think that that is very predictive of good things to come. There we see him at 18-1. He was 20-1 yesterday. If he jumped on it early, congratulations. I still think that's a really good number, especially in relation to Aaron Wise, who I really like at 16-1. And Matt McNeely, I like him, but he's 18-1. Colin Morikawa, proven winner, 2-time major champion. I know that he hasn't played at Mayakoba, hasn't played this event before, but I look at that almost as a positive. There's a reason he's going this week. I think that reason is to finally get a trophy before the year ends out. I think Colin Morikawa is a really nice play at this number.
Yeah, and he's teased the idea that he's getting back to the guy who has won multiple majors. So I'm going to trust him.
We hope to see it. All right, Jason, thanks you so much. Appreciate it as always, man. And that's a show. That is a show. We got Madden, Bears and Bills starting at noon. That is part of a 6-game slate on the day. The slate coming our way this evening, Gary and Thorne, Matt LaMarca, Adam Kaufman. We will be back in the studio tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.